Good sticks, everyone. Welcome to the Captain Avalanche Fancast. I'm your host, Captain Avalanche Cory, joined as always by Dom from the Tank, and we're bringing you our Christmas Power Rankings. We didn't really have time for this in a normal episode, and just like all of you, we're going to be taking a well-deserved Christmas break, but there's been, I don't know, Dom, how would you say, a lot of movement since our last power rankings in Thanksgiving. We don't like to bring them to you weekly. We like to bring them to you in milestones. And this is a really good kind of measuring stick point for teams once we hit Christmas and rolling over into the new year. So Dom, once again, has very kindly taken his time to assemble all of these power rankings for us. And well, if you listen to our episode where we had the Thanksgiving power rankings, this is definitely going to be an interesting contrast to that, wouldn't you say, Dom?
Certainly is. And happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, Cory. I'm excited to do power rankings again. I mean, you're absolutely right, though. Not only have the power rankings changed drastically since Thanksgiving, so past Dom was certainly wrong in many ways. But they've even changed when I started drafting up where I would think they would be a week ago in preparation for our previous episode. They've already changed so much since then. Cory, you have the receipts, so you know, but I mean, everyone else at home, trust me, I was still moving teams even today, trying to account for the latest without being too much of a bias to recency bias, But you know, it's always fun to see the power rankings and how much our expectations change over the course of a month.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, I wouldn't say that, you know, you're wrong or incorrect when it comes to the power rankings. Power rankings are something that are always being updated and changed and, you know, reworked. So there's never, I think, a right or wrong answer unless, of course, you're ranking the Avalanche anything below number one. And if anybody thinks anything otherwise, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. But, you know, Merry Christmas to you as well, Dom. And Merry Christmas to all of you out there. We hope you enjoy this kind of quick little 20, 30-minute special that we have thrown out for you. We just didn't feel like we could fit it into the last episode because we always like to yammer on for a little bit. Definitely will not yammer on the power rankings for an hour. I think we'll highlight a few of the teams in here. I definitely have a couple that, you know, after looking at this, I'd love to discuss a little more in depth as you requested of me. That was my job. But before we jump into that, I think I'll pose a very quick question. Christmas presents, Dom, or Hanukkah presents, or whatever other holiday you may celebrate. But if your team, for us, Christmas, Dom, if the Sharks had to ask for a Christmas present, just one thing that you could highlight, what do you think in a statement or two, what do you think that would be?
Will Smith off IR, back from injury. And if it's not asking too much, I would just say everybody healed as a single statement. So Kurashev back as well. Vinny Desharnais is close to getting back. So I'd probably just say getting over the injury bug, which I think would realistically apply to most teams in the NHL.
Thankfully, knock on wood, everybody, not the Colorado Avalanche this year. They have dealt with that enough over the last few years. But if I had to ask for a gift for the Colorado Avalanche, asking for a better power play, that's too easy. And, you know, a couple nights ago against Minnesota, it definitely flexed its mettle, and we loved to see that, especially against a team with a better power play than the Avs, that the Avs did not allow them to score on. So that was nice. But if I had to ask for a gift for the Avalanche this Christmas, it would be the return of Logan O'Connor. He fully rehabbed the hip surgery that he had, but apparently he was dealing with a soft tissue issue. We've mentioned it a couple times, but man, oh man, I miss the Mayor O Denver. And the fact that our power play is bounced between number one and number two without him on it just says how good it's going to be with him on it. And when he comes back, this deep, deep team will just become all the deeper. He's a fan favorite. God, I love him, and I miss his energy and his tenacity out on the ice every night. I am super stoked for him to come back. They're saying, you know, kind of in these end weeks here, he'll be evaluated, and he might be back right here at the beginning of the year. It might take a little longer, but we are eagerly awaiting the return of the Mayor O Denver.
As you should. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, but when a player who plays on the fourth line is that well liked by a city and a fan base, you know they're doing something right. For the Sharks fans out there, I would say just the best comparison on our roster would be someone like Delandria, except for I think LOC is a much more talented player personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, all the best to you guys, because the injury bug, as I well know, is definitely never fun. Never fun to deal with. But let's go ahead and heck jump into these power rankings here. I am super, super stoked to really kind of dive into it. So let's take a look here at your bottom bits here. Let's do the bottom. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out one thing here before I start spouting my terrible opinions.
Informational difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Let's start with the bottom. Do we want to go? I want to go 25 down here. Let's read that, and then I'll yell at you about who I think should be moved up or down here. Because I even have opinions.
You got
here.
it. All right. So, as always, we're going to start from number 32 and work our way up. So, at number 32, I have placed the Chicago Blackhawks, dropping 19 spots from the Thanksgiving power rankings, currently on a 5-game losing streak. And, well, I just think this team looks really bad without Bedard. But keeping it going at number 31, dropping 12 spots since Thanksgiving, it is Seattle Kraken. At number 30, dropping 7 spots, are the Columbus Blue Jackets. At number 29, our biggest fallers of the week, losers of 4 straight despite the return of Hellebuck, it's the Winnipeg Jets. At number 28, maybe Marner wasn't the problem, dropping 2 spots, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. At number 27, and surprisingly resurgent, it's the Calgary Flames. Same goes for number 26, Nashville Predators. And at number 25, Cory, where you wanted the cutoff, I have the Vancouver Canucks with 4 straight wins since the Hughes trade.
Okay. One, I think you could swap Calgary and the Nashville Predators. They're kind of one and the same right now, but like, fuck Nashville. I think you could place Toronto even lower, as a matter of fact. In fact, I don't think 30 is totally out of the question for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They just look sad. And in a game where against Dallas, they kept it close. It was 1-1 going into the third period. Or no, I think it was 1-0. It was 1-0. And then they allowed 4 more goals and lost 5-1. And I understand that Anthony Stolarz is injured right now. Joseph Wall has been away for personal reasons. They're relying on a young, goaltender, Dennis Hildeby. God, they just don't win. And they don't even, I don't watch a whole lot of Toronto right now, and they just don't look close anymore. And I mean, granted, the East, you're never more than 3 points out of a playoff spot. It feels like realistically, they're more, even if they were actually, let me actually look. I have it pulled up right now. The Leafs are currently, let's see, 30.
They're currently at NHL 500.
They're at 6 points out of a playoff spot. So three wins, more than the Buffalo Sabres, who are only 3 points out of a playoff spot. So it's about as bad as it gets here. And while I know they're above the Columbus Blue Jackets in the standings, at least Columbus is trying. So I would put Columbus above Toronto just on the pure fact that Columbus actually is trying their best. God damn it. They're just not that good. There's nothing that Columbus is doing wrong, really. They're just not that good, and it hurts to see it. It makes me sad. Vancouver's funny because you lose your best player and now you're going on a heater, but I think that's just kind of that natural kickback that we see a lot with stuff like that. I'm very much betting they will come back down to earth not too long from now, but we'll see. I think you could realistically swap Seattle and Chicago as well. Seattle is just Well, maybe. Seattle played a really good game against us, but I mean, they still ultimately lost because they're lack of star power. Last little comment for me. Winnipeg was bad for 40 minutes, and then the final 20 decided to really put in an effort. But I think they're about where they need to be. And that's just crazy. That's crazy to say that Hellebuck, their MVP, comes back and they're still losing. They're not losing as badly, but they're still losing. Ooey. There, and I mean,
well, that's,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's exactly why they dropped so far. I mean, right before Hellebuck came back, I would have had them maybe at 20 instead of 29. It's the fact that they've just keep on losing since he's been back for me that I had to drop them way further down.
No, I don't think that's totally unreasonable. I think they're right where they need to be. And I mean, in a Central Division that's just absolutely stacked at the top. I mean, the best they can hope for is a wild card at this point, and even that might be a tough ask with some of the other competitors there. But we will keep on grooving along. I think we can go all the way up through 17 here.
Okay, yeah. Really quickly though, before I do,
oh please,
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on Toronto because I mentioned it in there briefly, but they are NHL 500. So the fact is that statistically, well, no, not everybody. Nashville isn't. Vancouver isn't. Calgary isn't.
Okay, but let me riddle you this: the only team in the East who isn't NHL 500 or above is Columbus. Every other team in the East is 500 or above.
Which is why I am of the mindset that if Toronto was to switch places with Winnipeg and be playing in the West,
okay,
I do think they would be doing better just based on the quality of opponent they'd be seeing every night. But that's personal
fair.
Perspective.
That's fair. The bottom of the West is definitely worse than the bottom of the East. That is for sure. It's funny because the top of the West better than the top of the East. Bottom of the West worse than the bottom of the East. But it's going to make the East really fun to watch. That's for sure, to see who ends up sneaking in there. Because you're right, past San Jose, everybody else is below NHL 500. So that is a fair point.
Yeah, and for the record, you're probably right about each of Chicago and Vancouver. Like the Kraken could be last instead of Chicago, but
the Vancouver Kraken.
I don't know if I can do that. Sorry, Seattle Kraken and Chicago. I was saying you're right about two different things here. Thing one is that the Kraken could be last, and that Chicago could move up a spot. Without Bedard, this team does not look good.
Yeah,
they're hanging Spencer Knight out to dry. I've seen it before in San Jose. It just he is the engine of that entire offense and gets them strutting with some confidence. And since he's been gone, they just look like a shell of themselves, like more of an AHL team, if I'm being honest. So, I agree. When he is back, I would move Chicago off the bottom line just because he's back, and I'd probably put the Kraken there or Columbus. But yeah, I can't right now, but with Vancouver, you're right there because it is going to be a bump. Just like if you fire a GM, a coach, something, it's to shake up a locker room. And it's worked for Vancouver. And I do think, I said it last time, but I do think the trade works for them and was better for them right now. And we all know they're going to try to recover this season, whether or not they should. But when you look across the West and the Pacific specifically, I mean, trying to find a team worse than them at the bottom there, I mean, it's not too difficult. Like putting Vancouver over Winnipeg feels really easy, which is crazy to say.
I mean, and it's just sad because Chicago had such a great start. Bedard had such a great start. He had a good chance to make Team Canada. And I mean, it's not his fault that he got hurt. It's just, that's hockey.
It's hockey.
Well, let's keep on chugging along, Dom. Oh, sorry.
Funny that we both said that's hockey at the same time. You're good. But you're right. Let's keep chugging along. So at 24, having lost 8 in a row, they won their most recent game, but they lost 8 in a row, including 2 awful comeback losses where they let their opponents come back from really they should not have at all the way down 7th in the Eastern wildcard hunt. It is Pittsburgh. The Penguins dropping 15 spots since Thanksgiving. At number 23, moving up 4 spots, it's the New York Rangers. At number 22, and surprisingly still in the Western wildcard hunt despite a record below NHL 500, it's the St. Louis Blues moving up 8 spots. At number 21, also moving up 8 spots, it's the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo has 6 straight wins to shoot up the standings compared to Thanksgiving. At number 20, it is the Los Angeles Kings dropping 5 spots. They've been on a similar trajectory to Pittsburgh, but less bad and have the benefit of playing in a less competitive Western Conference, in my opinion. At number 19, dropping 9 spots despite currently holding the final wild card in the West, it is the Utah Mammoth. At number 18, it is your San Jose Sharks, moving up 3 spots since Thanksgiving. And at number 17, dropping 6 spots, it is the Boston Bruins, who lost 3 straight at home, which really hurts them mightily in the competitive East. And I just trust them less than other teams in this range. But Cory, I'd like to hear your thoughts on 17 through 24.
All right. First and foremost, crazy that Boston has 20 wins on the season. Like, that's crazy. Looking at other teams like in the West wildcard spot, somehow Los Angeles with 15 wins holds the first wildcard spot and a -2 goal differential. Boston's at least dead even, and they have 20 wins on the season. Shockingly, though, the Bruins I'm seeing here do not win in extra time or make it to extra time. That's very interesting. Or they win it in extra time a lot. I don't know how many OT versus regulation wins that they have, but that's interesting. But interesting they have 20 wins and still can't secure one of those coveted wild card spots. And yet Philadelphia above them has 17 wins. But, oh, wow. All 3 of these teams have 41 points. This is wild to look at right now. I have not looked at these standings like in depth in a while, so this is a fun
To answer
exercise.
Your question about Boston, Boston has 14 regulation wins, 4 in overtime, and 2 in the shootout for the 20 total.
Okay, so I mean they're getting extra time sometimes, but they also have 16, whole losses, which is a few. There's only 2 teams with 10 or less than 10 so far, which is why. Oh no, there's Vegas technically only has 8, but I mean, come the fuck on. Anyway, you can't yell at the Avs for OT losses anymore, people. Vegas has 10. 10!
You what?
Anyway, we're not to them yet. Can I just say that the Mammoth had us fooled? They fooled us once again, Dom. They did what they always do. They have this period where they're super good and they look like they can really make a push for the playoffs. And then they fall off the face of the earth and they're just kind of again. Like they can sometimes win, maybe, and then, most of the time you can just expect them to lose. So what a bummer. That sucks. I thought this team was going to be something, Dom. I thought they were going to be something.
Yeah, I mean, that something is going to be a first round out, probably a sweep if they make it into the playoffs. I petitioned to rename the Ottawa Senators the Ottawa Coin Flips, and I think the Utah Mammoth should become the Utah Mid because they just, exemplify what it is to be mid. Just nothing incredible, nothing like what we see at the very bottom of the league with the Kraken and the Blackhawks. They're better than that, but they're not inspiring. They're up and down. I mean, they have some key injuries too, but they're in there battling and mucking it up when they play, which either makes it really fun or really boring, depending on the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could argue that you could maybe even drop New York and Pittsburgh down more. Pittsburgh below like maybe Vancouver or Nashville, only because, man, that is embarrassing that you had 3 multi-goal comeback losses. You had the lead and you can't hold it. That is not a winning recipe. Also, quick shout out. Congratulations to Sid the Kid for passing Mario Lemieux for most points in Pittsburgh Penguins history. And I believe 8th all time in points. I think he'll at least make it to 5 by the end of his career. Maybe even a little higher than that.
I mean, yeah, he should. And absolutely. Congratulations to Sidney Crosby. And despite all the bad going on around Pittsburgh, he is the one shining light. I mean, all we can hope for is that they keep on tanking and he gets traded to the Avalanche because there's only so much more time left for that opportunity to happen. So let's hope that's what happens. But yeah, 8 straight losses, like you said, 3 of those being with a multi-goal lead that they gave up in blue. It's like last time I had them at number 9 on Thanksgiving, and I called them a wagon because they were looking real good. It was working. They still have the league lead power play. So man, there's just no excuse. I've seen this before with the Sharks blowing the third period leads, just falling apart, collapsing. A team with as much experience as this has, I know they're in a weird transition period with a blend of youth and way more experience than most teams have when you think of Crosby and Malkin and what they have there. But there's no explanation for losing 8 straight in the fashion they have. And you're right. I probably could have dropped them lower. It was tough for me. I was already dropping them 15 spots though, and they're still technically, because it's the East, they went from being ahead and having good position in the East to being out of the wild card hunt in 7th, but they're still only 1 or 2 points out of a playoff spot. So it's tough. It's a tough one with the whole East to judge.
Agreed. Last 2 points on this before we move on to our big boys, the top 16. I hope Buffalo can keep this going. We don't got to dwell on it for too long, but I hope Buffalo can keep this going. I really, really do. 6 straight wins is awesome. Finally got that GM change. Goodbye, Kevin Adams. Hello, Jarmo Kekalainen. That'll be an interesting thing to see. But I really do hope they keep going. I would like them to make the playoffs. I don't know if they will, but I would like them to. Finally, last point here. God, New York is Boo! You stink! The Rangers suck, dude. Why did I get duped into thinking that they were going to somehow get a playoff spot again this season? Oh, last year was just an outlier. No, they got shut out at home again. I've never seen a team so inept at being able to win at home. They just can't do it. They're ass. I'm sorry, New York. I used to root for your team, but they're ass, and their culture is ass, and their coaching is ass. Everything about them is ass except for Igor Shesterkin. He's the only bright spot, and the players seem to just fucking hate it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, the fact that I had to move them up in this ranking, it goes back to the fact that they're in the East, in the competitive East, above NHL 500. So I gotta believe if they were out west, they would be in a playoff spot because of A, the number of points they already have now, and B, just the quality of opponent they would be playing night to night. And so even though they look awful and they are doing things you should never do with the number of shutouts at home, getting shut out at home, I should say, it's baffling. I mean, it makes sense to me. I was low on the Rangers from the start of the season. I was like, they need to prove to me that they're good before I trust them again. And I'm glad I was like that. But I think they moved up spots this week, not so much because they improved, but because other teams moved down. And at a certain point, while I don't want to base this entirely on the rankings as far as points go in NHL record, I do have to take that factor into account. And I just can't drop them all the way down below some of these teams like Calgary or Nashville, who a week or two ago were at the very bottom of the league.
You are more rationale than I, Dom. But let's take it 16 through 4. Because the top 3 will be easy. That we don't need to spend too much time on the top 3. So let's hit 16 through 4 here.
All right. So at number 16, dropping 9 spots since Thanksgiving, I have the New Jersey Devils. And this team is simply bad without Jack Hughes and still feels inconsistent even with him back. We'll see if it gets better. I would like to think they'll bounce back with the talent on their roster, but for now, they're not even in a playoff spot, I don't think, as of the time of this recording. So they're on the fringe and
they're
need
in a
to
wild
their
card
way back
spot
up.
currently, by the way.
Oh, they are? Okay. But there's either way, they go from being second in the division all the way down to a wild card spot. Yes, it's the East, but they have to convince me that they're better than the other teams in the Metro, because the Metro is pretty freaking good this year. So, and they just haven't. I think they are, as we'll get to, I think they're the 5th best team in the Metro. And so if they want to climb back up above 16, they'll have to earn it. But at number 15, I mentioned them previously, winners of 4 straight, but still generally inconsistent. It's the Ottawa Coin Flips, also known as the Senators, moving up 3 spots from our prior power rankings. At number 14, dropping 2 spots, it's the New York Islanders. And I don't know if you saw, Cory, but of the teams in the Metro, 7 of them had lost games prior to the start of this recording in a row. So the Islanders have lost multiple in a row, but so has everyone they're competing with. So I feel like they were more past or accounting for teams in the West in some regard more than they actually fell off compared to their rivals in the East. At number 13, moving up 4 spots, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning. At number 12, also moving up 4 spots, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. At number 11, I have moving up 14 spots, the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers do get the edge over Vegas here from a recent head-to-head win, despite being on the same total points with 3 more games played than Vegas. At number 10, dropping 2 spots, I have the Canadiens. At number 9, climbing 5 spots, and I don't care if people think this is too high. I have the Philadelphia Flyers. I am flying high on Philly because I think they are better than a lot of these teams in this range. I think they have more talent and upside. So even if they have some inconsistency with youth and that lack of experience, I think just on paper, they have the capacity to be a better team than everyone I just listed. At number 8, dropping 4 spots, I have the Anaheim Ducks. At number 7, moving up 17 spots. Please accept my apologies, Washington fans, because the Capitals look good again this year. And I was a doubter. I was out. I said they were going to fall off this year. And boy, have I been wrong up to this point. At number 6, jumping up 14 spots, it's the Florida Panthers because Florida. But in all seriousness, they are right back in the conversation with games in hand over some of their closest rivals. Also funny parallel that both teams from the Stanley Cup last year each moved up 14 spots since Thanksgiving. So they've been bouncing back as the season has gone on through from, well, basically the month of December. At number 5, one of the teams that did not move a single spot, it is the Detroit Red Wings, who still lead their division. Believe it or not, the Yzer plan has not failed yet. We'll see if it gets them through a whole season, but the Red Wings, they might actually be here to stay this year. At number 4, dropping 2 spots of no fault of their own, it is the Carolina Hurricanes. There is no disrespect here for the Canes. They are the best team in the East, in my opinion, as I've stated for multiple years, and I really do think they are. But they have to drop that far because of the top 3 that we'll get to here in just a bit after we get your thoughts, Cory.
All right. Here are my points. 1, I think you can swap New York and Tampa Bay only because the New York Islanders have had a better recent stretch than Tampa Bay, not including Tampa Bay's. I'm going to assume they beat the Blues tonight because last I was watching, it was 4-1. Let's see here. They did indeed finish that game 4-1, but I do think New York, just looking at their last 10, is at a better stretch than Tampa, who was a little inconsistent, especially without Vasilevsky. So they did struggle in that regard. I don't like that Vegas is where they are, but I have to commend the fact that what they've been good at is they've been losing a lot of games, but they have managed in the third period to push back and tie the game to force it to overtime, which, man, oh man, have I seen that a heck of a lot. And they almost did it to the Oilers also. Crazy that Edmonton is really pushed back, but to be totally honest with you, from what I've been seeing, it has been the same names. And now Tristan Jarry, who we said was injury prone, is injured. Who could have guessed? So I'll be interested to see if they can weather this storm. But currently, they're obviously riding a hot streak of McDavid. And I mean, you can try and say, well, the Avalanche are riding McKinnon. Yeah, he's the engine that generates the offense. But if I go down the list of the rest of the team here, everybody on the Avalanche is contributing. I can't say the same thing for the Edmonton Oilers. Montreal. I don't know if I can trust Montreal. Anaheim. I don't know if I can trust Anaheim because while Anaheim is still the top of the division, they've been getting worked by better teams. And I mean, there are better teams. And when Anaheim hits those, they seem to have a hard time competing against the teams that are above or around them. And obviously, this is the first year that they've been as competitive as they are with hopes of making it back to the playoffs. But there is, I think, more work to be done in order for them to truly stand out as not just a playoff team, but a contender. So for me, as they've gone on, I don't think they're a contender. A playoff team, absolutely, but I don't consider them a contender anymore. Florida, interesting thing, they were leading the Atlantic Division at one point this last week, and now they are out of the playoffs again. So I don't know what to think. The East is in such flux. This team is in such flux. And yet somehow, I'm sure, as you said, as everyone has said, they will still make the playoffs. But I can't lie when I say it'd be kind of funny if they didn't. But they will. And once Matthew Tkachuk is back, they will. But that's my thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you on Florida. They will, and sure, they fought back and then dropped off a little bit. But like I was saying, when most teams in the East had lost a game coming into this, the West had more wins just based on recent win streaks compared to the East. I thought that was interesting. You're completely right about Anaheim, though, because I mean, I feel good about the Flyers, but they still drop games that maybe they should win. And I'm higher on the Flyers than most. And I almost put them ahead of Anaheim. But Anaheim, Montreal, Vegas, New York, Tampa, Ottawa, all of those teams have the ability to win games they have no business winning and then drop games that they should dominate. And then have other games that they're going up against a quality opponent, and then just get their doors blown off. They just have a whole mixed bag. This range was the tough range to rank because I think there's a steep drop off between I'd say maybe let's say I move Philadelphia up to 8. So you have Philly, Washington, Florida, Detroit, Carolina, and then the obvious 3 we'll get to. That tier, I think they are a huge step, and maybe we can throw Edmonton in there, but there is a huge drop off into this middle ground of where it's just so inconsistent. There's not anyone who feels like a contender. I mean, maybe Tampa, because it's Tampa, could be a contender. It's hard. All of these teams feel inconsistent, and maybe I'm giving too much credit to teams like Tampa, like Vegas, based on that prior track record and experience. When it gets to the playoffs, I expect them to be there, and I expect them to compete.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see as we kind of go into the new year and go into the Olympic break here. I think the Olympic break will be another great measuring stick point for us. I think that's when we should do the next power rankings, really, to gauge. Maybe we'll do one before that because we kind of do them every month. So before that, but that'll be a really good measuring stick at that point, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more separation. And that's kind of the thing that surprises me the most is while there is separation at the tippy top here, no one's going to catch Colorado. Let's be real here. I mean, with everywhere else, especially in the East, but I mean, even to a degree in the West, there's a chance for anybody, I think, to still kind of sneak in here, at least to a wild card. Pacific, you have a bit more of a chance, but Central top 3 is top 3, but wild card's still open. So it's interesting to see how it's all gonna shake out. It's made for a really interesting season, and some people are of the mindset of, oh, this is lame. There's nobody distinctly at the top or at the bottom. It's no, this is exciting that everybody. I am of the mindset, and other people have mentioned that as well. I'm of the mindset that this is exciting, that people are more competitive. Every team is going out there and trying their absolute best, which is hilarious because there is a generational prospect on the line. This draft class, again, outside of McKenna, is absolutely stacked. There is plenty of reason to tank. There are lots of great roster-changing players, franchise-altering players up for grabs in this next draft, and yet everybody seems to be trying their best every single night, and it is making for some absolutely fantastic hockey right now, and I love it. I love it.
I'm with you, Cory. I am extremely grateful for that because that's what we want. That's what we expect. These are professional athletes. They get paid to play the game they love, that we all love to watch, and they're going out there fighting. Nobody goes into the game wanting to lose, trying to lose. And that's the way it should be. That's the honorable way to play and not to tank. And I wonder, you said it, this is a deep draft class with an incredible amount of talent, maybe one of the best ones we've seen in the past decade. I mean, we obviously don't know, but from what there is, it's going to be really good. A lot of top end talent, and the depth of top end talent it's going to be huge. So I wonder, because I've heard rumblings that McKenna is not a shoo-in to go number 1, which shocked me. But it's that deep of a class that he is not considered a shoo-in for number 1, which also could be part of why these teams are still fighting it out. Try to get wins, try to get the money, try to fill the stands, right? And keep bringing in the revenue and still be near the bottom. And if you miss out on McKenna, there is all of these other talented options there waiting for you. So it's not a guarantee. And with the draft lottery, we've also seen that first overall is not a guarantee. I mean, New York jumped the maximum number of spots to go number 1 to take Schaefer this past year. So maybe teams are willing to take that chance a little bit more and go out there and try to win now and save what happens later for later. And we're still less than halfway through the season. So maybe when we get to the Olympic break, we'll start to see some more of that divide that we're talking about, and then teams actually competing with each other for who can tank the hardest.
Perhaps so, Dom. Perhaps so. But without further ado, as dramatically as possible, could you please read our top 3 teams?
Absolutely. And with the state, I just think this is the campaign. The Stadium Series needs to be built with a massive podium somewhere here in the Central Division in between these 3 teams. I don't know where that triangulates to, but they just need to build it, because that right there would be the center of hockey in the NHL today. In third place, grabbing the bronze medal on this power rankings and jumping 19 spots to do it, it's Quinnesota, the Wild, now with Quinn Hughes. And, it's an arms race in the Central. They're trying to compete. I don't think they're going to catch the Avalanche. I don't think they're honestly going to catch the Stars. But we love to see the intent to compete and to fight in this Western Conference. If there are 3 teams I could say would make the playoffs today, it would be those 3 teams. And that I feel really confident about. They are that far ahead of everybody. I'm pretty sure Minnesota in third place in the Central would be leading any other division if they were in it. Let alone at number 2, the Dallas Stars moving up 1 place. And like I said, the Hurricanes had to be dropped to make room for Minnesota and Dallas. And of course, Cory, you said it. I've said it. Everyone has said it. If they haven't, they need to open up their damn eyes to see that this Colorado Avalanche roster is built different. And the fact that they still don't have LOC, there is more depth coming. This is a cup roster. We said it last time. Gabriel Landeskog has been out for 3 years. It's just been a coma. He woke up. The team woke up when he's back in the regular season, and they are playing like 2022 never ended. Like the playoffs in 2022 never ended. They are winning games in absolutely dominant fashion, and then they are winning games that they should lose, honestly. There are those couple of games, like that Seattle game. Whether or not Seattle played well or the Avalanche did not play up to their standard, they probably could have and should have lost that game if they were anybody but the Avalanche, and they're just that good.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And you are correct that Minnesota would lead any other division. Dallas would lead any other division. But the one who stands atop every other motherfucker is the Colorado Avalanche. And I'm sure I was going to say, fuck off, Dallas, Minnesota. Go away. Of course, any other year, Colorado be absolutely running away with it. But of course, Dallas has just been nipping at their heels. And I'm sure Dallas and their fans feel the exact same way. They're like, God damn it, get out of our way, you fucks. And I'm sure Minnesota, for all 3 of these teams, any other year, they would be dominating, leading the NHL. And that's just not the case this year. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating that all 3 of the definitively best teams are in the Central Division. And yet the one who is ending their streaks, the Wild had a 7-game win streak, 12-0-2, 14-game point streak at home, crushed by the Colorado Avalanche, 5-1. Jesper Wallstedt said after a very close 3-2 shootout win that it kind of made the Minnesota Wild the better team than the Avalanche. So what does it mean when the Avalanche beat them 5-1 in regulation? It is obscene. And I'm actually so depressed that we have to wait a chunk of time before the Avalanche see the Stars again in the regular season. Boy, oh boy, is that shaping up to be an absolute clash of the Titans. Because, man, I just need any team out there, any team to beat the Dallas Stars just to give us a little bit more wiggle room, and fucking nobody can do it. Fuck off, Dallas, get away, you fucking weirdos. I don't like you. But, man, I if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan, which if you're listening to this podcast, I expect that you are, be so grateful. This team is utterly insane to watch, and I think it is different than some of these other, super teams, but also the same as some super teams of past. I say different as in I think they're different than that Boston team of 2022-23 in a good way. Same as in I think they're, like Colorado teams of past, like that Detroit Red Wings team of past that went all the way to the conference final, who ended up getting beat by the Avalanche. So, I mean, this team is insane. Plus 61 goal differential. The next closest team is Dallas at 36. 61. There's only one other team with over 20. This team is scoring. I know the power play is ass, but my God, what does it matter? They just crush every game. It's obscene. I've never had a team where I just turn on the TV and I'm like, yeah, we're probably going to win tonight. It's ridiculous. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom. I mean, when you put that number, they have triple the goal differential of the next closest team or thereabouts. That is obnoxious. It's obnoxious. It's not even obscene. It's not even absurd. It goes another tier level of how ridiculous that is, and broken. It is broken. If I've said it so many times, if you don't win the cup, it is a failed year, because you should. This team is built different than Boston was. Boston, yes, was winning games, not like this, not in this dominant of fashion, not in all the ways. And you're right. You don't need a power play. If you can score like this at 5-on-5, who the heck cares if you have an extra skater than they do? You don't need it. In fact, if anything, you're not going to be able to take advantage of your speed the same way. You have the defense set up in a diamond. So it kind of makes sense why you struggle on the power play, because for opponents, it forces you to be slowed down and not be fully in rhythm of your game. And they can take a defensive posture. They aren't going to be caught in a foot race with you. So maybe that's why the power play is a struggle. It's just because the Avs' greatest strength comes with that 5-on-5 and just pure talent. So, I think this team would take the Chicago Blackhawks of 15 years ago, those Blackhawks with Kane and Taze. I think they would take them out in 5 games if they met in a playoff series right now. I think they would wipe the floor with them. That is how good this Avalanche team is playing. I would love to see it. If there was some way we could have that roster play against this one, fireworks every night. That would be a series that I would die to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when you can crush everybody else's power play with the best penalty kill, that certainly helps. That if you're not going to score on the power play, you at least have to make sure nobody else scores on their power play, which they are doing. So we're having a good time out here. And you're right, Dom. They are beyond speedy, the most speedy. Not only that, but if they can secure that home ice advantage, the Avalanche have not lost in regulation on home ice. Of their 2 regulation losses, they have each taken place away from home. So if they can just keep that rolling, boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see what this team does in the playoffs. I'm probably going to have heart palpitations, but man, I genuinely can't wait. But Dom, unless you have any other final thoughts here, I think that'll do it for our Christmas power rankings.
Yeah, no final thoughts. Although since you mentioned beating Dallas, I'm sorry, my friend, my brother, that we couldn't beat him. Ned went on an adventure, and I don't know if we'll have enough time to talk about it, or we'll find a way to talk about Ned Ventures and the pain they cause whenever we next record. But thank you, everyone, for listening to my power rankings. Please comment down below how incredibly wrong I am about all of them, and have a happy holidays.
Absolutely. And yes, everybody, have a happy holidays. Please do leave some comments below about how wrong, how right we are. Who's your last place? Who's your number one? Just kidding. There's only one correct answer in this case. It is not up for debate. But we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this special edition of the Captain Avalanche Fancast. If you like what we're doing here, please follow us on whatever platform you can. Share this podcast everywhere with everyone. It means the world to us if you do. And we'll be back with you after the holidays, but please be safe. Please enjoy your time with your family, regardless of what you do or don't celebrate. Be kind to everyone, and go Avalanche. I'm Captain Avalanche Cory.
I'm Dom from the tank.
And we'll talk to you all again very soon. Happy holidays, everyone.